Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Willard and Dibs continues. Mark Randy, Jason Dumas in for Mark Willard. Dibs here as always on 95.7 The Game with you until 6 o'clock on this beautiful Wednesday. Really hot if you're not in downtown San Francisco. If you're not in the city limits, it is hot nearly everywhere else. Over 100 degrees, an historic heat wave going on. Hope everyone is staying cool out there. We're talking Warriors off season so far. D'Anthony Melton in, Kyle Anderson in. Potentially, probably Buddy Hield in, Klay Thompson and Chris Paul out. Do you think the Warriors have gotten better? 888-957-9570. I've got some more thoughts on that we can get to in a sec. But first, let's go back out to the phone lines. Tony is waiting and standing by in San Francisco. He wants to talk about Klay Thompson. Tony, what's up? You're on Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game. How you doing, Tony?
Hey, fellas. Yeah, it's hot out there. You guys think that maybe Klay was just kind of over the Warriors? Like, coming off a really great season beating Boston for the championship, really excited for the year to come. Team's looking fantastic. Then the punch happens. Horrible. The year was challenging and really hard to watch at times. You know, and then Jordan gets his bag, Draymond gets his bag, and then the next year Draymond gets suspended for all those games. Do you think maybe it was just a pain to be a part of that? By this point, when his career's coming to an end and he just doesn't see the Warriors going anywhere, that's a lot of drama, you know, right after the championship.
It is, Tony, and I Jason, you could probably speak to it better than I can. I know, Dibs, you know the story as well. I mean, I think based on him being upset that he wasn't getting the contract offers that he wanted, I think you can deduce that he wanted to stay here as long as he got the money that he wanted, but he wanted way more than the Warriors were willing to give him, at least according to the reports. But I do think there's a lot of, just Klay looking out for his mental health, and it's partly why he didn't want to go to LA either. Stay out of the spotlight a little bit, go to a new place, a fresh start, and the drama of it all kind of got to him, and it's reason enough for him to want to leave. I think Tony's spot on there.
Yeah, by the end of the whole saga, for lack of a better word, he just wanted something new, and I think it's beneficial for both sides. I don't think it would have been the healthiest relationship and the healthiest environment if Klay was on this roster. Next year as a reserve player, also including how the contract talks played out and how Klay wanted them to play out. So I do think it's better off that he is in Dallas and the Warriors are moving forward too. It was a lot there, and now you won't have to deal with that aspect. I know everybody loves Klay. I know the nostalgia that comes with him in a Warriors jersey, but sometimes a new situation is better for all.
And I think that when you look back at what transpired long ago, and it was the Jordan Poole extension, and it was the Andrew Wiggins extension, and, Klay is probably thinking, I want what I have, and I want what Draymond got, and then Draymond gets 4 years, and then Klay is thinking, all right, you extended Jordan Poole, and Andrew Wiggins got the bag, and Draymond got 4 and 100. Where's my long-term extension? And they say, well, 2 and 48, Klay. And I think that became something that last year kind of set him on that course of feeling disrespected. And he was already feeling that way before that, I think, considering the year he had coming off the championship where he led the NBA in three-pointers made, also in three-pointers attempted, but he shot better than 40% from three. And so he's thinking, okay, I had that year, and then he comes back last year and plays in almost every game, and he's durable, and he was up and down, but he at least played, and he showed out. And so he's thinking, all right, now's my time to get what Draymond got. I want that long-term extension, and it was never going to be there. And so I think that as you read the Ramona Shelburne piece along with Kendra Andrews in ESPN today, it gives you a real roadmap for how Klay was feeling and how the organization was feeling as well, knowing that, geez, you're a 10 seed, you've got to find a way to be better, and you can't be better by giving Klay the same thing that Draymond got, 4 and 100. That's not going to help you.
Yeah. So now he's gone 3 years, $50 million with the Dallas Mavericks, and it's up to the Warriors to ask themselves, okay, what's next? And how do you replace what Klay Thompson brings to the team? Because I think, Klay, if the money was right, he would have been fine coming back. The only reason he was feeling disrespected or unhappy was because he felt like the money wasn't right and he wasn't getting the right respect. And all of that is born from, the beginning or lack thereof of contract negotiations. So that's all part of it. And negotiations for others over him. It goes back to Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins signing deals after they won the championship in 2022. And you brought up the Ramona Shelburne piece, and I want to dive through that kind of piece by piece in a little bit. But as the Warriors try to sort through the what's next conversation, one of the names that they are targeting and are linked to very strongly, and it was so far as, the Warriors are basically in agreement with the 76ers on a sign-in trade. They're just working through the final last stages of the contract with Buddy Hield. That becomes the Klay Thompson replacement. We talked a lot yesterday how the Warriors, you got a lot better defensively with DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson and losing Klay and Chris Paul. But where's the offense going to come from? And the spacing on the floor is going to be absolutely atrocious. Buddy Hield, and Jason, you can speak to this. I know he didn't have a great couple of months with Philadelphia. Part of it was Embiid's injury, and then it was kind of thrown out of whack and all of that.
Not much continuity.
Not much continuity at all. He has consistently been one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA ever since he got into the league. And not just like a spot up, he'll hit a couple of threes here and there, he'll stand in the corner and hit a shot. It's high volume. It's volume near Klay levels, near Stephen Curry levels. And it's very, very high percentage for someone shooting that number of three-pointers. So for the Warriors this offseason, for Mike Dunleavy Jr., for Joe Lacob, I can see the vision. I can see the plan. Where were the Warriors hurting last year? It was defensively, across the board almost. You were praying for Andrew Wiggins to be better defensively. Jonathan Kuminga, maybe not quite there just yet, specifically on the perimeter defense. DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson are 2+ defenders on the perimeter, and Kyle Anderson is big enough and strong enough to help you out interior as well. DeAnthony Melton, extremely underrated as a help defender. And they also both can rebound the dang ball. You were also praying, Wiggs, Klay, get on the glass. We need help. We don't have size. Both those guys can rebound the ball. Are they going to be amazing offensively? No. And I agree with you. They need shooting, but Buddy Hield provides that. A 40% three-point shooter in his career. How about this? Most made three-pointers in the NBA over the last 4 seasons, guys. There are only 2 players that have made over 1,000 threes the last 4 seasons.
Steph and Buddy.
Steph's made 1,200 plus. Buddy's made just over 1,000 the last 4 seasons combined. Go back 5 seasons. Buddy Hield's number 1. He's made more than 1,300 threes over the last 5 seasons. It's not just a high percent. It is extreme value, is extreme percentage on extreme volume. And I think Buddy Hield is a perfect fit in this Warriors team considering what they need. And you might say, well, he doesn't play any defense. What was Klay doing at this stage of his career? Not playing a lot of defense. And you got Melton and you got Kyle Anderson. Yeah. I can see the vision of this team coming together with those 3 guys.
Sure, and I said yesterday before we got off the air how the one thing that I felt like they still needed to address was, 2 things. One was a real number 2, and the other thing, Jason, was shooting. And Buddy Hield provides shooting. He provides offense. He's going to come on the court ready to shoot, and he's going to come in looking to score, and he'll get you 10, 12 some nights. He'll get you 25 to 30 other nights. He's a guy who, like Klay, when he gets hot, he can get white hot. And
microwave.
Scorchingly hot. So
yeah, defensively, Klay couldn't guard guards anymore. He couldn't guard perimeter players. That actually really hurt the Warriors because when you're putting in lineups, you have to factor in that Klay is going to be guarding the power forward or the small forward. Someone most likely down by the paint. Buddy Hield, obviously, he's not really a point of attack defender, but he can slide those puppies a little better than Klay Thompson at this point in their careers. So I think even with Buddy, you have a little more lineup flexibility than you had with Klay because Klay made it it was hard to be flexible in that lineup knowing who Klay could guard defensively. that messed the Warriors up a lot in their lineups. So, yeah, I mean, look, I don't think there's much of a separation between Klay Thompson and Buddy Hield at this point. I really don't. Buddy Hield wasn't great last year, but neither was Klay. Klay is more aggressive offensively than Buddy Hield from what I've seen. So, I mean,
Buddy's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, Buddy's aggressive, but like, see, what I saw in Philly last year was a reserved Buddy, a Buddy who was still trying to find his way. I know Buddy in Indiana, Buddy in Sacramento, he'll let it fly. Last year, I saw a more reserved Buddy Hield, but I think he's perfect for this motion offense. I think he's perfect, on those back cuts, split screens, split action type of lineup that Steve Kerr and offense that Steve Kerr likes to run. So, hey, he's Klay Thompson's Bohemian teammate. They were just practicing together in the Bahamas.
A couple of good shooters from one small country,
and DeAndre Ayton was out there too, and Chris DeMarco, Warriors assistant coach. He's on that coaching staff for the Bohemian team.
Is Eric Gordon on Bahamas?
Yep, he is. Eric Gordon. That's a guy who just went to the Sixers. It's funny. You got Melton and Buddy Hield, who are seemingly coming from Philly to Golden State. So a little pipeline there. It'll be interesting. I don't know what his contract is, but you know what I'm surprised? And this is completely out of left field. And you would think he would have filled a need. Not anymore with Buddy Hield. And Buddy's probably a little better, but I'm always surprised, and maybe this is intentionally, maybe this guy doesn't want to play here, but Seth Curry has almost never been an option. Seth had some great years in Philly. He was really good for them.
Dallas had some good years.
Yeah, I mean, I know he did not want to leave Philly, so he was upset when Doc traded him.
He's bounced around a lot lately.
Yeah, but, I mean, conceivably, he fits a need, but you never know. Some guys probably, this is just speculation. I don't know my left from my right, but, some guys don't want to play with their brother. Some guys don't want to, like, be that guy. It's like you want to kind of forge your own path. But he's been in the NBA long enough where it's like everybody knows he's not getting opportunities because of Steph Curry.
You talking about Bronny James or Seth Curry?
He's like, Seth is a good player in his own right.
Right.
Somebody actually brought up, I was saying how I don't love nepotism between the lines. Like, yeah, we see nepotism in front offices and sports and coaching staffs and whatever. I don't like that either. But I mean, it just happens. You can't deny it.
Yeah.
But I really don't like the nepotism between the lines. Like, I don't like Giannis's brother being on a roster. He's not good enough. He's not good. He's only there because of his brother. I don't love the fact that Bronny's on a roster because of his dad.
Got a 4-year deal, too.
4-year.
Fully guaranteed,
fully guaranteed.
Million, yeah.
4.7 million.
I don't love that. Yeah. I don't love that, and I don't celebrate how, as a father and son, if it happened organically, that would be amazing. But it didn't happen organically, so why are we, like, acting like it's so special? It's not special. It was forced upon us. You know what I mean?
It's probably special to him, and
it's special to them, but don't tell me it's special.
Exactly.
It's like when, like, someone needs a triple-double and the whole team is like running out of the way so they get the rebound.
Totally.
It's like, that's so dumb.
When you throw it off the glass to yourself to get that extra rebound.
Like, I'm not gonna throw a hissy fit about it. I just don't tell me how special it is, because in my opinion, it's not very special because it's not organic.
Well, the Griffey's was special and organic because
he was the best amateur player in the world.
Exactly. So Junior was good enough, and Senior was kind of holding on, but he was still good enough to be a major league player.
Yeah, but my point was, we were talking about Steph. I'm sorry we're going on a tangent, but my point was, when I was saying how I didn't love what we're seeing with the whole Bronny James thing, someone was like, well, Seth Curry got a spot with Golden State early in his career. And I was like, yo, do never disrespect Seth Curry like that again. He averaged like 19 points per game at Duke his final year. No, he didn't get drafted, but anybody, it doesn't matter what that person's name is. You average 19 points per game at Duke in the ACC.
Yep.
That person is going to get a summer league invite, probably have multiple summer league invites. And I'm guessing Seth picked the Warriors because of familiarity. He's there all the time watching his brother play. He probably knows all the coaches and stuff. But I would imagine Seth Curry, because he averaged 19 at Duke, probably had about a dozen summer league offers. nowhere near the situation Bronny James is.
Well, and like the last 10 years of his career, you've seen that he can stand on his own.
Yeah, he's a really good player in his own right. He averaged like 25 points per game as a freshman at Liberty, and every major program came calling for him to transfer there. Like, he's a good player.
Yeah, no doubt.
And a tangent. Shout out to Seth Curry.
Warriors do need shooting, you're right. But then if, say, they added Seth Curry, you're running into the same thing you guys were talking about in the first segment. You got too many guys for too few spots.
Right, and that's where we sit right now, July 3rd. And I know that July 4th is a special day in Warriors history because of the Kevin Durant signing exactly 8 years ago. So I can't help but think between now and tomorrow, Mike Dunleavy Jr., he knows what we know, guys. He knows that they've got 12 players who will command minutes, and you know that at most you can play 10 guys. Really 9 is ideal, but 10, you got injuries and whatnot. So you look at this roster and you think, how can we turn 3 into 1? How do we take 3 of these guys or 2 of these guys and turn them into one really, really good player? That becomes now the challenge, and I think that they've known that all along, and you tried for Paul George, and the fact that they wouldn't include Jonathan Kuminga in that, according to Ramona Shelburne, that becomes interesting, I think, against the backdrop of what they're trying to do right now, because if you wouldn't include Kuminga to get Paul George, I would think that you wouldn't include Kuminga to try to get Lauri Markkanen. And so if you're Utah, do the Warriors have enough to entice you to trade Lauri Markkanen if Jonathan Kuminga is off the table?
I would guess probably not. I think Kuminga's probably got to be involved in it.
But if he wasn't involved in Paul George, is he going to
Warriors weren't willing to do it?
Right. Is he suddenly going to be on the table now for Lauri Markkanen? I don't see that.
I don't know how the Warriors feel. I would value Markkanen higher than I value Paul George. So maybe I wouldn't feel comfortable doing Kuminga for George, but I want Markkanen more than I want Paul George, so maybe I'd be willing to bite that bullet. But I don't want to bring in a mid-35-year-old guy and set him to a 4-year max extension and give up my 21-year-old potential future star.
Right, but you might do that for Lauri Markkanen.
I might do it for a 27-year-old. Okay. Yeah.
Fair enough.
888-957-9570. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Chris in San Jose is standing by next. Chris, you think this Warrior team is better now than they were last year?
The short answer would be yes, even without the Buddy Hield move. I think if you lose, getting 2 or 3 players to replace what one does, I think that's a reality in the NBA these days. I think when you talk about Klay Thompson, the player, half of his games were bad. I mean, he shot literally 40% or below in half of his games while offering no defense. And there was another 10 games where he shot in between 41 and 43%. So you're talking about a volume shooter who's not as efficient, who, like you said, he can't guard anybody on the perimeter whatsoever, which essentially, they talk about defensive versatility. He can't guard anybody. Can't guard bigs. He can't guard, guards. So you bring in 2 above-average quality defenders who both of them can knock down a shot. I believe last season with Anderson, his eye injury, I do believe that he probably wasn't able to see things as well out there. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on that. But yeah, bottom line, you're talking about, Klay can't guard anybody anymore. So one half of the game, he can't do. So I don't understand how people are up in arms. They see the name, the Hall of Famer, Klay Thompson. But Klay Thompson is a net negative for us when you got Ned from Nantucket and Ted from Tuscaloosa dropping 25 on Klay. Oh, Klay scored 22 tonight. Yeah, well, that no-namer G League guy named Keon Ellis from the Kings just dog walked him up and down the court for 30 minutes. So, love Klay, love everything that he did. But for those fans out there that think we got worse or that Klay was, we need Klay to be successful, that's just not true. Again, love the guy. Sorry I'm so cutthroat, but I like to live in reality. And the reality is Klay Thompson is no longer a top 15 shooting guard. He's probably if you took all 30 point guards and all 30 shooting guards, that's 60 players. I bet you Klay's in the bottom 20. So people need to get real with it. We love him. He's gone. Move on. We're already better. I'll let you guys run with that.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Chris. I like your energy. All I'll say for Chris, I'm not sure where I'd rank him in terms of shooting guards or all guards. Chris was saying, got to face facts, and Klay's not as good as he once was. Obviously, in an ideal world, and I think this is why so many fans, and it's emotional, and I get it, why you're so emotionally attached to Klay, and because you've seen him do great things throughout his entire career, and what he did great when he was at his best is precisely what the Warriors need. You need a shooter who can defend on the perimeter, but as our caller was talking about, he's simply not that anymore. And if you can face that reality, then I think that the decision comes a little bit easier, although it is emotional. But if you can understand that Klay's just not that player anymore, you can understand why he's not as effective. It doesn't fit this team anymore.
Right, and I wonder if the guys they got, Jason, actually do fit this team, and only time will tell. I think Buddy Hield kind of fits because he can go out there and score in any setting, and I wonder about Kyle Anderson defensively, if he can get out there, and DeAnthony Melton, if he stays healthy. It's somebody that you've watched pretty closely, so you think that he's a guy who could fit. So if all three of these guys become rotational and you lose Chris Paul and Saric and Klay, maybe you do get better.
Yeah, I don't think that caller lied. I mean, like he said, he was a little cutthroat and maybe a little dramatic in some of what he was saying, but the root of it was pretty accurate. Klay is a hard person for people to be objective on in this city. He just is. I mean, it's human nature. So many fans are emotionally tied to him. But I think when you take all of that out the picture, I think the truth is probably closer to what that man was saying to what the majority are saying. I think the Warriors will be okay without him. I think they'll be able to replace his production. I think with DeAnthony Melton, well, not I think, you have way more defensive versatility with DeAnthony Melton.
Same with Kyle Anderson, honestly.
Same with Kyle Anderson. With Buddy Hield ain't known for his defense. So I'm going to say that's a wash. But offensively, he does pretty much what Klay Thompson does. He just doesn't have the name recognition or the championships. Obviously, the height of Klay Thompson, he was a two-way force. So he was better than Buddy Hield. Don't get me wrong. And he's probably better than Buddy Hield now. But it's not, the needle isn't moving that much more to the red with Buddy Hield. If you take all the emotion out of it, you just look at the roster objectively, at the very least, it's just as good as last year's. And I think it's a little better. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you that at the very least, this team is marginally better, and they got better in areas that you need to be better in today's NBA. How did the Celtics just win a championship? How did they dominate their way to a championship? By hitting threes and by playing great perimeter defense. They've got great defenders all over that team, specifically on the perimeter. Drew Holiday, maybe the best perimeter defender in the league. Jaylen Brown is awesome. Derek White is incredible. The Warriors got some really good perimeter defenders, and to your point, Jason, also versatile defenders. And yeah, shooting is still a weakness. You get this Buddy Hield thing done, and suddenly the shooting looks a little bit better. You would like some more, but it does begin to look a little bit better that way as well. The Warriors are seeing what is working in today's NBA. It is three-point shooting and versatile defenders, perimeter defenders, and everyone they have acquired so far this offseason fits at least one of those categories. I can see the vision for the Golden State Warriors. It's time to bring it home now. You've done enough to get marginally better, but you were the 10 seed. How do you get a lot better? There's one more move this Warrior team can make, and we can talk about that on the other side. All right, time for a break here on Willard and Dibs. It's Dan Dibley, Jason Dumas, Mark Grandy with you. 888-957-9570. Are the Warriors better now than they were last year, and how can they keep getting better? Give us a call, and you can join the show. We are presented by Fremont Bank, celebrating 60 years of full-service banking with no compromises. More Willard and Dibs coming up next on 95.7 The Game.